on EOS. And interestingly, they've also added Ethereum and Tron, and I suspect that they will be adding more applications and more blockchains in the near future. So you're going to use this to kind of navigate through the ecosystem, but of course, first you're going to have to download it. How do you do that? It's super simple. You're going to go up to where it says download. You're going to click the button. It'll bring you to this page, and you choose the system that you want to download it for. Of course, me being on Mac, I'm going to download the Mac version, and then you're going to save it to your computer and you're going to open it. Once you've downloaded it, find it inside of Finder or inside of your desktop, double click on it, and it will install. Now, sometimes you're going to come up with this message which says scatter can't be opened because it's from an unidentified developer. Your security preferences will allow the installation of only apps from the App Store and identified developers. So that's pretty easy to fix. It's also going to come up with instructions on how you can actually install it. And Scatter is currently one of the most a backup location, so you can choose your backup location. I do recommend that you move that to a private offline drive, which you can do. And once you've set your location,